Hello everyone, it's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland reviewer, and I'm here to review the new comedy starring Leslie Mann, John Cena, and Ike Barinholtz, and this is Blockers. And I was very excited after I heard the reviews coming out of South by Southwest that this was one of the best studio comedies in years. And honestly, it's been quite a few good years now with Girls Trip last year, Big Sick, and then with Game Night, and now we got Blockers. And because when I first saw the trailers for this, I'm like, this is really stupid. And then I heard great things about it, and honestly, I laughed through this whole entire film. This was really, really funny, and it was interesting and had some fun characters, and definitely some great performances throughout. So we're going to get started with director Kay Cannon. Does a great job of keeping up the pace with this film, and does a good job of balancing the story, because how this story is structured is we're trying to balance the lessons and the lives of both the parents in this film and also these three young women, who, by the way, are absolutely fantastic in this film. And Cannon does a great job of balancing these two stories where we get enough of each in order for us to feel the growth for all these different characters, which is saying a lot because that's 6 characters that we're trying to balance here and split into 2 groups with their stories going in and out. Now, this never was boring or slow at any point. I'll talk a little bit about the writing with some of the parts in the story, but overall this film was really funny and balanced the tone very well. It was very raunchy, you knew it from the start, and it went there and it kept going there, and it really worked for the film. And was this affecting, like, I laughed so much, I thought this was really funny. This film lacks a little bit in the emotional impact. Like, some of the scenes I thought were really good, where they got to an emotional place. Some of them were fine, they worked. It wasn't like really super heart moving for me, but honestly this was a really, really well done film. Now, from an actual shooting perspective, the director of photography, Russ T. Alsobrook, this film is shot decently well. There isn't anything super impressive. Like, when I saw Game Night, the cinematography was really well done, well shot action. This film, it's like, it feels a little more than just point and shoot, which is good. And there's some parts that where montages are put together and really well edited together with different shots, and gives it a bit of a different feel and shakes things up for the audience throughout. So it does its job. Now, this was written by Brian and Jim Kehoe, and the characters are great. I really love the characters, and they're really interesting. They all have their reasons for doing things, and the character dynamics and the chemistry between everybody is really great. And even the smaller characters, like the 3 dates, like one of them doesn't get a whole lot to do, but has an interesting dynamic with his family. But even just like the smaller characters, and I'll talk about some of them when I'm talking about the performances, really do stand out and make for a really interesting ensemble. Now, from a story perspective, this is an interesting story. You don't see this a whole lot in films. Like, this is a surprisingly unique story for a comedy. But the thing is, there are some parts where particular gags weren't really that funny and felt like, do we need to go here? There's barfing jokes, and it's just like, I hate crap like that. And that there's a scene that really didn't work, and then there's another scene that went really far into the raunchy nature of the film and felt out of place and felt weird why they had to go to this place in order to find some, like, to keep the trail going and stuff like that. But overall, it's an interesting and fun story, and it has nice resolution. The themes in this film, it goes well, there's some parts where it's really on the nose because they kind of throw it at you, but it's really interesting, the different dynamics of each of the parent-child relationships throughout, and dealing with growing up and wanting to be an adult and spread your wings, and to the point where it's like, does parents need to take care of their kids, or did they raise them well enough that they can take care of themselves and empower themselves? And I thought those were some good themes that this film puts forward. And then we have the music. It was the actual music for the film. The score was composed by Matteo Messina, which it's not a super memorable score, but it fits well, and I think the musical choices throughout are well done and on point. So the music really works and elevates some of the scenes going throughout the film, and that's what you have to ask for in a film like this. Now, the performances. Leslie Mann does a really fine job. She isn't, because like she could be super annoying in movies and really get on my nerves, but she did a really good job of being a little more subtle with her performance in this, and a little more level instead of I'm high pitched voice all the time, and it's just like calm down. But John Cena was hilarious in this film, and he played this role so well and balanced it so well, and I'm starting to really become a big fan of his comedic chops, and honestly I want to see him in more movies, which is really weird because I don't want to see him in a pro wrestling ring anymore. Now, and Ike Barinholtz, who honestly can annoy me, I thought he did a nice job, and he was a nice balance to the like uptight John Cena, and like the best friend mom that Leslie Mann plays, and it really balances that out, and their chemistry together is great. But I really have to give it up for Catherine Newton, Geraldine Viswanathan, and Gideon Adlon, who play the three young women in this film, and they're all great. Especially Viswanathan, because she has some great moments and some great lines and great delivery, and she does a really good job. Her dynamic with John Cena is great as her dad. But all three of these young women are fantastic. I want to see them in more films. And then one quick shout out, because there's a lot of great supporting cast, like Gary Cole and Gina Gershon show up in this film, and like all kinds of other people. But for some reason, Hannibal Buress really stuck out to me as a fun side character named Frank, and I really enjoyed them in this film. This film doesn't hit emotionally as much as it probably would like to, and it does get astray a couple of times, but honestly, this is a really funny, really engaging, well-performed, hilarious film, and I am going to give Blockers a B+.